Hello, everybody. It's been a while since I just sat down and blabbered on for a while about some random topic, because I just really haven't been able to think of something or want to make a video on anything recently. I mean, a lengthy subject. Me and a channel, Psychonaut Visions, have a collab in the works right now, and I've kind of been like anticipating uploading that as my next video. But what am I waiting for? So in this video, I figured I'd talk about, how do I word this? Three things. I want to talk about three things: psychedelics, spirituality, and psychedelic spirituality. Now, I want to define what those two first things are before I get into the conjunction of them together. So spirituality is really, to me, the recognition of self or soul amongst existence and claiming your place in it, finding your place in it, and doing what you can in this existence to evoke happiness, peace, acceptance, to be a nice player amongst all the other people around you, to just be, cliche, the best you can, and this all comes with life lessons, learning curves, major uncomfortable transitions in how you perceive reality, but all the while, it's bringing you closer to your essence, your soul that is just here being, working itself out. Now that's what I think spirituality is, roughly. Now, psychedelics. What are psychedelics? Roughly put, psychedelics are a type of compound or drug that induces a type of hallucinatory experience different than that of, say, dissociatives or deliriants, some other hallucinogens. Psychedelics produce a different type of hallucinatory experience. And I'm going to leave it at that for what psychedelics are, because as I dive any deeper into what psychedelics are or potentially could be, it sort of transitions into that third thing that I want to talk about, which is psychedelic spirituality. Now, before I go into what psychedelic spirituality is, I feel I should share what psychedelic spirituality isn't. So, psychedelic spirituality is not someone that trips and thinks they're spiritual because of it. Psychedelic spirituality is not somebody who's predisposed to spirituality and then goes and takes psychedelics because that'll make them more spiritual. Psychedelic spirituality is not I guess that's really it for the what it's not, and I'll try to just give a nice one-liner of what psychedelic spirituality is to me. So, psychedelic spirituality is when an individual, aside from spirituality, discovers spirituality through psychedelics. Now, that's why I said, that's different than somebody who's already spiritual and says, I'm going to go take some mushrooms because mushrooms are spiritual. That's not psychedelic spirituality. Or somebody who's looking at you going, I take psychedelics every week, I'm a spiritual person. That's not psychedelic spirituality. What I'm getting at is the regular average Joe convert into a spiritual being via psychedelics. Now, what I want to roughly talk about is how psychedelic spirituality occurs and how these psychedelics tend to do that to us, because I am kind of one of those people that was introduced to spirituality through the veil of psychedelics. So around the age of, I'd say 16 years old, I had broken up with this girl, and you know what comes with that. Just my emotions were all out of whack. I was newly into high school. I was a freshman, and being told, what do you want to do when you grow up, and making up stories of what I want to do, because deep down I didn't know. Feeling like I was like I didn't really fit in with how I was acting. I'm a stoner, and then I'm a patriot, and then I'm a ghetto kid, and then I'm a hippie, and all this different stuff was just like happening around me in terms of who I was. And I'd say I think it was the year of 16 years old. I tried LSD for the first time. Now, the reason I tried LSD for the first time, it wasn't because I'm looking for spiritual lessons. Definitely not. I first tried psychedelics mainly because of Chance the Rapper and his album Acid Rap, and the way he portrayed the character of LSD throughout that album really just made me wonder what this LSD thing was. And like I said, I wasn't looking for anything really. I just wanted to see what LSD was like, roughly. I take the LSD, I have my first LSD experience. It's literally just what I imagined it would be like, visual distortions, everything was pretty funny. I was thinking all deep towards things in ways that I hadn't before. It made me look at life differently at that time that I was on the trip. I don't know if it was the next morning or the next week, but sometime shortly after my first LSD experience, I remember I was standing here and I was looking through my room, and you see all my tapestries and posters, and behind the camera here I have a puja table with all these statues and jewels and stuff like that, incense, and I was just silently observing, my materials, and I was, to sum it up, what was coming to my mind was, you are such a phony. You are such a fake. You aren't this. You're trying to be. You're trying to be this. And it really, it shook me up. It made me feel like I was a loser. I was making me feel like a douche. Like I'm trying to be this spiritual person, but I'm not actually. And I think that being a spiritual person means surrounding yourself with all these materials that make you spiritual. But, no, the following month after this first LSD trip was rough. I had what I called at the time a spiritual awakening. Because, like I said, I'd be standing in my room and all I saw wasn't like normal. I'm just in my room. All I saw was how I'm trying to be somebody. I'm trying to be this person. And it was eerie and kind of depressing to see that what I am and what I embody is just as much so trying to fake it to make it. And you know what I mean? Just not actually be down to earth, not actually be true with what I'm doing. But looking back on it, I can't blame myself, because I was just getting involved with this whole egocentrism, who am I, what are we doing here, what am I going to do with my life stuff. And the LSD just seemed to shove it in my face, like people tend to talk about psychedelics convey truth, but I feel like sometimes they also convey utter fallacy. They show you clear as day what you aren't, what you're trying to be, and it you really sense that separation between who you think you are and who you are. Now, like I said, the following month after this LSD experience, it was kind of rough. I was experiencing all this weird stuff. You could call it HPPD, but, like flashes in my peripheral. My legs were cramping up. I couldn't sleep well. I was seeing lights, not like fucking intense, but just stuff that would catch my eye. And, upon looking all these symptoms up, they all fit into spiritual awakenings. It's okay, you're just awakening to your true self. You're gonna enter the dark night of the soul where you feel fucking excluded from everybody, which I did every now and then, still do. But the point I'm making here is that this LSD trip seemingly forced upon me this state or this mindset of, I'm trying to be something I'm not. I'm trying to be something. And, that immediately turned me in on myself to look at who is this that's trying to be somebody, chill out. And that was really my first experience with these psychedelics, basically transforming my life into a spiritual journey. Now, as I got more and more into psychedelics, at first I started getting infatuated with the trips themselves and the visions you'd have while on them and the feelings of it and the thoughts you'd have. And it wasn't a while till I started, thinking to myself, are these things making me spiritual? Are these things making me this divine being? Because it seems like I'm just having these insane hallucinations and feelings and thoughts, and then I come out of it like, I'm spiritual. You know what I mean? And it's like I'm just using it as a clutch or whatever you call it. That since I take psychedelics, I must be spiritual. That mindset kind of evolved through my mind for a little while when I was actually into taking the psychedelics quite often. I thought that just because I'm taking them, I'm a spiritual person. But it wasn't long after that evolution of thinking that the next raw, hard fucking lesson came through the psychedelics. That, once again, I'm trying to be somebody. Even after this first LSD enlightening experience and, I realized that I'm a phony that's trying to be somebody, I transitioned my life to spirituality and started focusing on myself and whatnot. And still, later on down the road, I had this psychedelic experience that made me feel fake. It made me feel like a poser, once again. So I really started to wonder, what is it that I'm, not as much so what am I supposed to do, but like, what is this thing that just keeps on compulsively trying to be something rather than just being what I am? Because I had experienced that space of just being. The psychedelics conveyed it to me very easily. These psychedelics conveyed to me the space in which you are. Plain and simple. The space where you are. Not who you think you are, not what you think you're doing, not where you think you are, but just that you are. That's it. The psychedelics would, amplify that sensation of existing. So at first it started, I'm interested in psychedelics. And then it moved on to, oh shit, I'm a phony, I'm a fake. I better get spiritual. And then it moved on to, since I always take these psychedelics, I'm a very spiritual person. And then, the next awakening was that, oh my God, even after all this epiphanous stuff, I'm still just trying to be somebody. I'm still just trying to fucking act like somebody. And that one was harder because I thought I had awakened out of myself and was able to now, be free and open. But this has all just been the, diminishing of my ego, the recategorizing of my ego. But I wasn't somebody that entered into the psychedelic realm because I'm looking for spiritual teachings. That's more so something I do now. That's more something I do now rather than when I got into them. When I just got into them, I was just trying to see what these things are, see what they do. And they basically ripped the seams of my reality and ego apart, even while off them. And I felt very unstable. I felt, kind of depressed, kind of enlightened, a mix of the two, and went through what's referred to as the dark night of the soul, where you feel like you're the only one in this, and the rush is gone, and all you do is look out and see that everybody is not like you. Everybody is lost and asleep and not on this path of awakening that you are, and you feel ostracized and excluded from the group because you're on this very foreign journey. After taking psychedelics extensively for probably 2 years, I started to take more seriously this idea of, spirituality or daily spirituality. That, I started to realize that this thing of spirituality, it isn't a ritual. It isn't you could call it a practice, but that's like calling waking up in the morning and doing stuff your practice. It's just what's happening. And I've began to relocate my definitions and descriptions of spirituality. Spirituality used to be, divine states and incoming fucking wisdom from indirect sources and, synchronicities and lining stuff up and crossing out all the untied ends because it's all starting to make sense. But, after my run with the psychedelics for quite a while, I started to realize that this spirituality thing is more so just a way of being. It's another way of looking at things that's here with you right now. And when I would be somebody that's trying to be spiritual, in spirituality, that is my ego. That is my ego trying to maintain control. And I began to see that. That I don't have a problem because I do all this stuff, as long as I'm aware of it and know that it's me trying to maintain control of the situation. Because when you start to do that, your ego is never in secrecy. Your ego is never running things from behind the curtains, It's always exposed. Oh, are you trying to look cool? Oh, are you trying to seem really spiritual in this? Oh, I bet you think you're really wise for saying that, That's me talking to my ego, and my ego is just like, God damn it, bro, let me just, quit stealing my thunder. I'm trying to be somebody. I'm trying to be cool. But really, that's what the psychedelics did to me is, allowed me to see the fallacy in myself. And that in turn, I'd rather say allowed me rather than made me. It allowed me to look deeper into this thing we call spirituality. And that it's not just another religion. You could call it as such, but, spirituality is just something that's here with us. And like I said earlier, it's a way of looking at the world, whether it be formlessly or compassionately or wisely. Whatever way you want to play with what spirituality is, it's just a way of being. It's just a way of being, that brings you back to your essence, brings you back to your spot and your source. So, to talk about something like psychedelic spirituality, that is something I went through in the beginning half of my journey, is these psychedelics were basically teaching me how to, or at least portraying to me that I am myself, I am okay, and I can be that. I'm allowed to be that. Minus all the crazy fucking visions and just trips I went on in my head, you know. What it was really showing me was, look, you exist. Here you are. Here you are. Be that. Quit trying to be this differentiated part of yourself. Just be you. And that really strengthened my, like I said a moment ago, the way I looked at spirituality in day-to-day life, and that it wasn't this big ritual that you have to go out and suit up and go be spiritual. It's right here. Spirituality is, you know, taking a sip of this coffee cup and setting it back down. Checking my pod and seeing if that has juice in it, and taking a hit off of it. So after telling you that, I want to sum up psychedelic spirituality again. That psychedelic spirituality isn't going into psychedelics because you're trying to be spiritual. Psychedelic spirituality is just being a normal person that stumbles across psychedelics, and next thing they know, they find themselves a part of the fucking matrix, you know, and life gets real, and life gets serious, and life gets deep and philosophical. That completely fucking happened to me. It took me by surprise. It swept my feet out from under me, dude. This idea of just looking into the nature of things, and you know, Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, Zen have all become major role I forget the word, like role leader in how I think and how I negotiate situations, and the perspectives that I choose to see things in, you know, if I'm choosing at all, usually like just, I'll let a few different outlooks on a situation pop up before I act on a certain one, you know, because, you know, for example, my cat knocks over my coffee cup. I'm angry on one level. What the fuck, cat? You just knocked over my coffee. On another level, it's a little kitten that's not, you know, coordinated, and he was trying to like run and do this thing and accidentally knock my coffee over. You know, and then you can play on the level of being my kitten who's scared that he just did that because he knows he's going to get in trouble or something like that, or has no clue what he even did, so the point of punishing him is pointless, and then I'll act on the situation. You know what I mean? Not just going with your dry fucking reaction, you know, just like a snake biting at somebody that reaches towards you. I don't just react. And I think psychedelics have really played a part in that too, because, you know, during, like, say, the come up of an intense psychedelic experience, I'm trying to look at it in a certain way, and, you know, I initially react in one way, and, you know, it might lead me down a negative, nasty road because I just reacted, you know what I mean? But if I just sit there and watch my explanations, watch the experience, watch the watcher that's watching, you know, get all fucking aware of everything, you know? It's all so simple. It's all just right there. It's all just right in front of you. And really, I don't need to do anything. I can just look at my coffee spilled on the water, and I'm fine. The cat's fine. The cup's fine. The coffee in my carpet's fine. Everything is just good. It's all right. And you know, I've taken psychedelics a few times looking for spiritual teachings, and they never come through. They never come through because I'm looking for something. I go in there and it's like, teach me about myself. The next thing I know, I'm dancing with Aztec young women in a fucking rainforest village that's playing psytrance. And it's like, what does that have to do with me being spiritual? But at that time, I'm already caught up in the trip and just go with it. And then I come out of it and I go, what did that have to do with anything? You know what I mean? How does this apply? What do I do with this? As my brother so nicely put it, how do I even call this an experience? What do I do with this? I just had this mind-blowing, borderline impossible experience, and now I'm just left with it as a normal person that just experienced that. Well, sometimes those are the people that discover psychedelic spirituality, that they can use these substances to enter into realms that at the time being are completely ass backwards from your world, completely foreign and alien. Witness it, be with it, play with it, work with it. And then when you come back, realize you are somebody that can experience that. You are somebody that has experienced that. Now what are you going to do? You know, what does it say about you in reality? What are you going to do now? Was it crazy how high you were? Is that what you're going to get out of it? How was this possible? Where was I? Is that what you're going to get out of it? You know, you can take these psychedelic trips and do with them as you please. But I feel like when you look at I mean, I was just going to describe that, you know, it happens to everybody, psychedelic spirituality, but it doesn't. It doesn't happen to everybody. You know, I know people that take psychedelics, say it's pretty crazy, say it's pretty far out, and then come out, and they're them same old selves. They're the same old person that does the same old things. They don't look deeply into things. They don't look beyond their ego. And then they go and trip again and say, wow, this is so far out. And then come out. And then the same, you know, it's a cycle. And with me, you know, not to compare or judge, but as I continued taking psychedelics, I grew more and more and more almost uncomfortable with entering that realm, because it's like I'm just getting fucking hyper slapped by reality, hyper slapped by, you know, really how powerful my ego is, how strong and clingy my ego really is. You know, I take this psychedelic, next thing, my body is filled with panic because my ego is saying, I don't want to be here. I wish I didn't do this. I wish I hadn't done this, you know? And then I go through this crazy exfoliating experience of emotions and regret and denial and fear, and then acceptance and surrendering and, you know, bliss. And it kept getting more and more like that as I continued tripping. And, you know, the people around me that were just tripping for fun or tripping the same every single time, taking the same trips really, you know, and nothing's changing. I'm looking at them going, bro, is this not fucking crazy to you? Is what's happening in here not ripping the seams of your reality apart? You know, and I started to slowly back off, take longer breaks in between tripping, because I got scared. I got nervous of what my ego is able to do. I got nervous more so of what my ego can make of the situation rather than what is happening. What these psychedelics can do is extraordinary and mind-blowing of itself. But what's also pretty fucking mind-blowing is how egoic we are. How clingy and attached and conceptual of people we are. And that not only does it interfere with the psychedelic experience, it disrupts it, but you notice that aspect of yourself when you're tripping. I mean, at least I do. I notice the aspect of myself that's trying to create and maintain the reality it's living in. It's trying to categorize and keep everything stable. And, oh, I'm in a psychedelic trip right now. I'm Devin in a trip right now. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, just trying to keep the picture painted. But the psychedelics come along and just twist and melt and bend the painting into chaos. You know? it just scrambles everything up. And I was one of those people that, through multiple psychedelic sessions, I started to see there was something going on. There was something fishy. There was something weird, that I am able to experience this, and that, I can make of it really as I please. I can look at it how I want to, and I can either use it against myself or for myself. And all this started to generate really what I'd call this psychedelic spirituality, even without tripping every day or every week or even every month. Psychedelics are still very much so a part of my life, thinking about them at least once a day, and how, what they do, what they convey, how they've made me feel looking back on experiences I've had. And they're all just, pointing to the moon. And the moon is just that I exist. Here I am. Look what can happen. Look what's happening. And that in turn has turned me to a very, very spiritual lifestyle. I mean, not over-exaggeratingly spiritual, obviously. I sit and I play Xbox. I smoke cannabis. I work. But the whole time, my soul is there. My soul is there, and it sees what's going on. It goes, how far out? How weird. This is crazy. And it makes you work on yourself. It makes you work on how you react. It makes you work on how you respond to people. It makes you work on how you think about yourself and others and the world. It makes you treat yourself and others differently, And this all, for me, came out of psychedelic experiences. The fear of being this fake ego, really. And I would define that itself as psychedelic spirituality. Somebody who found themselves trapped amongst a spiritual path. Usually people think you fall off the spiritual path. Are you just pretending you don't remember all that shit you learned? You know what I mean? You can't unknow that shit. I can't unknow the ways I've thought about things while on psychedelics. And it's put me on, it makes it feel like I'm trapped on the spiritual path. Like, you ain't going nowhere, bro. Where could you go? What's going to happen? All you are is existence. Where could you go? And it just kind of rubs it in my face that, I'm just this eternal being that is always here. And, when it's like that, it doesn't seem really positive. It doesn't seem really cool. It seems like, God damn it, I wish I was an ego again. I wish I was back to normal. I wish I never knew any of this shit. But, no, that's the teaching, guys. That's the lesson coming through from the psychedelics, is that you exist and you're pretending to be somebody. You are pretending to be somebody. So stop pretending. Just be what you are effortlessly, because you are that. So stop trying to be somebody, And if you're somebody that just takes psychedelics to trip, I can't convey to you how to become spiritual through psychedelics, because I'm under the impression that this shit's naturally happening through the law of karma. That, I was meant to take these psychedelics and find this disoriented sense of self and try to slowly balance it out and make sense of what's going on. All this is so karmic, and the people that just trip to trip, that's karmic. They enjoy it. They're getting stuff out of that. They're either increasing or decreasing suffering in some way, and they're just riding out their trip, right, burning out the karma. And for some of you, psychedelic spirituality may be your karmic path, where you're using these psychedelics as teachers, because they are very intense teachers if used properly, and sometimes you're not even going to be expecting the teaching. This doesn't mean go out and take psychedelics to be spiritual. This means maybe analyze your life. If you're somebody that does trip, analyze your life and your ego and who you're pretending to be, and see why you're taking these psychedelics. See why you trip. See why you spend the day the way you spend it. You know what I mean? But I just wanted to share with you all kind of how I would describe the birth of my spiritual journey is psychedelic spirituality. Seeing spirituality through the psychedelic realm, seeing divinity through the psychedelic realm, which I bet many of you can relate with. So I feel like that's it for this video. I've kind of just been going on, and I don't think I got much more to say on the subject. So with that said, thank you all for watching, and I will be back with more.